Just read this article in the New York Times about an ER visit in New York City. I happen to know the residents involved in this case, and I have to say, I think the author, Lisa Miller, got it wrong. Of course, my heart goes out to the family of the patient who died. It was a young patient. Nobody ever wants that. But just because there was a bad outcome does not mean that there was a bad process. In other words, you can do everything right in the ER and people will still die, and it will be incredibly sad. That doesn't necessarily mean that there was something wrong with the doctors. In this case, it sounds like the patient had symptoms very consistent with influenza or a viral symptom, and when they checked a lactate, which is a sign of end organ damage, it was negative. The patient didn't have a white count, and then the patient unfortunately died. Does that mean that the doctors were following the wrong process to arrive at the right diagnosis? I would argue no, based on what I can understand of this article. No system is perfect, especially when you have 150 million people coming to the ER every year and there's only about 50,000 ER doctors. You can do the math on that. But it seems like the article is implying that the doctors missed a diagnosis, and yet it's been 2 years since this case, and even the article doesn't know what the patient ultimately had. So all that to say is my heart goes out to the patient and the family, but my heart also goes out to the doctors in this case, because these are good kids. I've worked with them. They're super smart. And I know they could have gone into finance, been making millions. They could have been dermatologists, but instead they chose to work in the ER, get assaulted every day, and try their best to save lives. And you'll never cover the tens of thousands, the hundreds of thousands of people they save. You'll just cover this one case that went wrong. It's always easy, like they say, to be a Monday night quarterback. You always know what should have happened after it happens. But my heart goes out to the people that are in the trenches working every day with a ton of uncertainty, a ton of dysfunction, and still doing their best every day.